You're listening to AI PRISM from Seoul Economic Daily.
Here's what retail investors are missing in today's market move. KOSPI is up 109% year-to-date, but May's forced liquidations hit 707.7 billion won, roughly $490 million, the worst of the year. Korea's pension ETF market grew from 1.7 trillion won 18 months ago to 12.4 trillion won today. Goldman Sachs raised its 12-month KOSPI target to 12,000. But warned that Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix now account for over half of KOSPI's market cap. It's Thursday, June 4th. Let's look at what this means for retail investors in Korea. Goldman Sachs's 12,000 target implies roughly 37% upside from current levels. The core argument, AI compute demand is outpacing memory supply, giving Samsung Electronics, KOSPI 005930, and SK Hynix, KOSPI 000660, durable pricing power. Investors tracking Korea through the EWY ETF, the iShares MSCI South Korea ETF, should note that the index is heavily weighted toward these two names. Even stripping them out, earnings growth forecasts for the rest of KOSPI have been revised from 20% to 57% since January. Goldman calls short-term pullbacks buying opportunities rather than trend reversals, but explicitly flags the 50% plus concentration in two tickers as a vulnerability. The May liquidation data shows what happens when the rally gets ahead of retail discipline. The Korean practice of BIT2, borrowing to invest, surged after KOSPI broke 8,000 on May 15th. The index then pulled back to 7,493. Investors who entered on borrowed money near the peak faced forced sales. The worst single day, May 20th, saw 145.8 billion won in forced liquidation, the largest since October 2023. Total margin loan balances now sit at 37.7 trillion won, approximately $26 billion. The structural story for longer-term savers is more constructive. Korea's total retirement pension pool crossed 500 trillion won, approximately $347 billion, for the first time. ETFs now represent 48.7 trillion won of that, accounting for roughly 40% of actively managed retirement assets. Bond-mixed ETFs, which hold less than 50% equities and qualify as safe asset allocations under DC and IRP pension rules, have grown from 1.7 trillion won 18 months ago to 12.4 trillion won today. The rise Samsung Electronics SK Hynix Bond Mixed 50 crossed 3 trillion won within 3 months of launch. For retail investors managing retirement accounts, these products offer a way to increase effective equity exposure while staying within regulatory limits. And overseas index ETFs inside pension accounts benefit from deferred dividend taxation. KOSDAQ is worth noting for its divergence. While KOSPI has gained 109%, KOSDAQ is up just 11% year-to-date. The FSC is meeting brokerage firms today to discuss activation measures. But Samsung securities analysts put KOSDAQ's forward PE at 27.4 times, above its own 10-year average of 17 times and far above KOSPI's 8 times. The structural issue? KOSDAQ companies need earnings growth, not just capital flows, to sustain any rally. Watch the FSC's KOSDAQ announcement from today's emergency session. Watch EWYNAV movements relative to KOSPI as a proxy for foreign institutional positioning. And watch margin loan balances, still at record highs, for early warning of another forced selling episode. That's today's AI PRISM, Retail Investors. This episode was produced with AI assistance based on Seoul Economic Daily reporting and reviewed by a human editor. AI PRISM is a Juan Ifrah award-winning series. We'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI PRISM from Seoul Economic Daily.